Hello, my dear ones. How's the day going? How's the now going? So busy. Oh, you know what? I got one right here. You know, someone asked me about athletes, and they got a hold of Antoine and this gentleman, but he's not at the 100% raw yet, but I know he's working on it. This guy's 100% raw. It's Ian, and there's a lot of guys out there 100% raw. He got a little thin and detox because he has malabsorption. But does he look like he's deficient in any way? And he's 100% raw as far as I know. So, I got a lot of guys out there doing that. But I'm sure some of the bodybuilders are afraid to let go of the carbs and things like this. And they say carbs, but what they don't realize is starch, like oatmeal. Putting muscle on with oatmeal. But I don't know which would be, I just think you ought to compound. They like the alfalfa and stuff like that. I was just at the feed store, and they've got Timothy alfalfa tablets. I hadn't seen those in a while. Those would be good. Of course, good for horses, obviously, but you can power pack some muscles on with the alfalfas and the green juices and stuff like this. But you also have to remember that when you go on these programs of raw, there is going to be an X amount of detoxification occurring, no matter what, because it's just the nature of the body. When you begin to bring in alkaline ash forming foods, it starts the hydration process. It starts the detoxification process. It's not us that's doing this. It's the body doing this. This is what medical doctors have to get with. You have to get with the body and consciousness. Understand that there's an awareness that is through everything. You know, this is a good example. You look at these dogs. I was watching Animal Planet this morning. There's this dog going in and out, and the little dog got caught outside, so the big dog went back out, took his paw and opened up the door for the little one. All that good stuff. And another thing is I've got a killer flea and tick essential oil coming. Be really nice stuff. And let me see here. I think this is the one. He talks about Antoine. Yeah, this is it. Let me see here. There's no doubt that eating meat, steamed vegetables, and cooked rice, sweet potato has proven to get great results and produce incredible physiques. The problem with that sort of thinking is on the inside. You know, on the outside, it depends how you view things, you know, and the muscles and that sort of thing, and from the hype and building up, and, you know, how we think chests should be big and muscles should be big. Now, you know, through the generations and the wars and the warriors and all this, these are the sort of things that I suppose is in the consciousness, you know. But it's the inside of the body that gets it. The outside, you can look okay, the skin goes around things okay, but look at the troubles. Look at the kidney loss, function loss, the arthritises, the RAs in particular. You can't tell me about it. I have plenty of bodybuilders that had to go through serious surgeries and everything else because they had the protein level diet, and these are acid ash forming foods. They're dehydrating, and you might pound on the muscle, but they're inferior muscles. You take a raw food muscle versus a meat muscle, and I'm going to bet on that raw food muscle any day and every day of the week. Not only is it stronger and more powerful, it's more flexible. So one has to determine about where that balance is for them. If they're trying to be the biggest and the greatest in size, then the price to pay is what you pay. And it sounds like, yeah, right, until you go through the price. I hear this all the time, yeah, I'll pay the price, until you go through the price. And then the story changes real quick, because pain has a way of altering the way man's ego is. If anything that brings your ego down, that's a lot of pain, ain't it? But on this one, my dear man, if I was as serious as Antoine, I would be pumping the greens, and we've talked with him quite a bit, and I would be pumping the alfalfas and the super greens like that, because the amino acid structures they're not complex, but they're more than fruits. And look at the structure. Anything that has structures is protein or amino acids. So just look at the structure and the density of the structures and stuff like that. But in that, you also see the different species and the ability of those species to deal with the complexity of amino acids at one level or another. Because it's the nitrogen side, that tends to be the acid side of chemistry. So there's a different respect there. Let me see, here's another beautiful question here. Oh, and this is from June. Hey, June, honey. And, I hope I'm not out of place here, but appreciate the donations to the Health Club, June. And, anytime anybody gives here, it goes right on out. But it goes out 100-fold, because we give a lot more than we get in terms of donations, because we're just a God company. We're going to do that. You've got to have a balance to where you make money to pay the bills, but then you've also got to have the balance of helping people. If your life is about the money, I'd certainly change that philosophy, if you can. Now, she's talking about on this, and this is an interesting thing she's talking about here, because it's more to the spiritual side of things a little bit here. And it says, finally, maybe one time in one of your videos you could address forgiveness, especially forgiveness of self. I know it's important in the healing process. I feel like I have forgiven others who have hurt me in my life, but forgiving myself for the stupid things I've done has been difficult. Yeah. What's that? 2020 hindsight. But these are the worlds of unconsciousness, essentially so. You don't want to have full-bore awareness when you're enjoying the movie. A movie's always better when you're unaware of the fact that you're sitting there watching it. If you're sitting there watching it, it's a boring movie. It hasn't completely gotten your what? Attention. So look at that attention for a minute. What is your attention? Like if you say, hey, look over here. What is it? Is that just your eyes looking? Or is that your whole beingness, your whole consciousness going, what? See, that's what comes packing. You have to understand that the physical, the emotional, and the mind, they're so interwoven, so slick, that you don't know when you're shifting gears, when the mind is looking at something, and when it shifts to the emotional side. You are when you're watching more. You can see the shifts between the emotional body and the mental body. But it is a rule pretty subtle, and that's part of the problem when you're trying to develop yourself beyond thought, or at least not beyond thought in terms of always beyond thinking. That's not what I mean. I mean observed thought is better than getting lost in the thinking process. Sometimes it's better if you kick back. You'll see more, be more free, and let the mind do its own thing. It takes a little work to get there, but one of the first stages is learn how to stop thinking, learn how to identify the thinking process. Identify thinking and non-thinking. That's the first on the plate. Understand what it is not to think and what it is when you start thinking. And just playing with that in terms of observation, now thought. And see the tremendous difference in your awareness between the two. And when you start understanding that observation yields you far greater information, because you can't go anywhere to discover things that are new, because it's always here now. All answers to all questions, to all things are always here now, even in the universal mind. So the journey to seek is an illusionary journey. But it makes for a journey. make something to do on a Friday night for God, Forgiveness is an interesting thing because there should be nothing to forgive anybody for, or even yourself for, because life is what it is. One makes a decision in that moment, and you must ride with that decision. If it didn't work, go change and make another decision. Nothing is over you with a club, a gun, a knife, and going to kill you, stab you, or shoot you if you make a wrong decision, or what you might call wrong decisions. If you look at it in a different way, there is no wrong decisions. Your decision leads you down a road of importance for your awareness, what you need. I was reading another letter. This is a beautiful letter from a young man. Quite lengthy, though, but I did read it all. And I'll have to tell you, this is Cody Smith. Cody, I get you, man. I get you. Very spiritual individual here. This individual's been on a spiritual journey. We're raised around a lot of narcissistic abusive issues, just all kinds of things, but has got a great consciousness developing and working to help others, and welcome to come and work in the clinic and get some clinicals. Sure, Cody, anytime. Love you. Thanks for the letter. But you got to realize that you're the divine in expression, as an individual expression. And the divine just seeks to experience. It doesn't know itself per se. It's got to seek as it expands and it expresses itself. It's hard to explain. But it's for the experience of it. It's kind of like, why do you do anything? For the experience of it. Because the bottom line, one experience, that's gone after a while, and then comes another one, and another one right after another after another. All life is a succession of nows, or a string of experiences. Dime a dozen. Remember that. Your experiences are all a dime a dozen. You can be raped, tortured, and killed, and the next minute you can live in the heavens with flowers all around you. You have to realize that your experiences can go from the insane to the very bad to the very good. This is the thing that humans have to, it's not really the human that has to understand anything. It's the consciousness, the soul that has to understand the journey of creation. It is good, it is bad, and it is ugly, and it is beautiful. So you've got all of these things in terms of creation. And I suppose after a long journey, so to speak, it's time to pull back and get some sucre. But one never makes any mistakes, so you don't have to forgive yourself for anything because you didn't make any mistakes, and there's no mistakes to make. And if you do something you didn't like, which is more what you're talking about, instead of mistake, you did something that you went in a direction perhaps that didn't turn out the way you wanted, or a direction you didn't like. You needed to go that way anyway, so you can experience that to know, well, you know what, I don't want that, I'm going to go over here. So the need to forgive yourself is like almost an insult to yourself in one way, June, because you're the individual divine. You're the divine individually expressed. So whatever you do, and that feeds back. There is no everything is good, because that's an illusionary concept. If you think everything is going to be good, and it'll never be that way, because creation in its entirety is positive and negative. The only realm that you get away from seeing that or experiencing that in its grossness is the pure mental worlds, the worlds of the universal mind, as Holmes said. There you have very little understanding of the negative forces, or even of the positive in one way of thinking, because everything is getting more into the now. Not quite yet, but getting there. So it's just a big difference. So one should never worry about forgiving himself, because that means you did something wrong and bad. And that in itself is telling yourself you're bad. And it's like, no, it's like saying, I want to lose weight. What are you telling yourself subconsciously? I'm fat. So you keep telling yourself, I'm fat, I got to lose weight, I got to lose weight. But the subconscious mind only hears the fat word sometimes. It's your focus. If you go in a direction and your life didn't work out the way you wanted, change it. Because you have birth, life, and death here on this planet, but you never have death. There's no time you are dead or unawake. You might be sleeping a little bit in some areas of creation where you're the most unaware of yourself, but everything has to be the way it has to be in expression. The learning of it, of course, teaches one how to interact with itself and give respect to itself. You know, it's learning about itself as well. And you're part of that massive learning experience of what all consciousness has within itself. And you're seeing it. Because at one level things are chemistry, at another level things are energy, and another thing, that energy becomes awareness. Or attention. Or consciousness. Whatever word you like to put that. But your attention is your consciousness. When you pull back and quit putting that attention in thought, you'll have a lot bigger scope in your attention. But I know where you're coming from, June, and I appreciate that too. But I think also people have to stand up and be strong with yourself as an individual. This is your journey. You were put here, you were brought here, you're individualized. This is your journey. Your feedback is actually feeding back to the divine God. Everyone around you, the same thing. Everything feeds back to the Godhead. But the Godhead is the awareness that you have.
Are you filming?
Uh-huh.
Are you filming?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll be down there, but...
No worries.
Okay.
Have fun.
Okay, thank you. This is fun stuff. But sometimes we get trapped down here and the emotional components, and sometimes religions also steer us in some directions and make you feel inferior and that you're bad and you've sinned and you must forgive yourself. When you see religion doing that to you, that is power and control, not from God. Because what does God care what happens? There is no judgment in consciousness. Judgment only comes in the lower mind, not the higher mind, the lower mind. And that plays with the ego. But it's just, at one level, when you look at this, guys, everything is just experiences. How you choose to label your experiences is the mind. The mind is the laborer. It is the library. Its job is to experience and to categorize and put it on the shelf. And that library is called the Akashic Records. And that is your journey, your personal journey. And it includes from the minute you got into these lower worlds. And so, fascinating stuff there. And you can view those. And in a lot, or in most cases, your master or spiritual guide will show you these at one time or another. You'll go through, at least looking at some of the films. And they're just like films, like little bitty frames of films. Interesting. But I think one has to pull themselves out of shyness and introvertness and the need. There's a difference between humility and humbleness and ego, no question. But there's also a difference between humility and detachment and introvertness and a lack of love of self. If you need anything, I'll say, June, and all of you guys, accept the self. Accept you as a divine expression, and that your journey is uniquely yours, and should be. And anything you want in that journey, you go on that journey, and you do on that journey. If it has a blowback to it, all right, I go this way. Blowback to it, oh, I'll go this way. Because without the positive and negative, there is no learning. There is no discourse. It is simply consciousness in the now. Intense as it is, it's not an expression. It's not in expressing. If that makes any sense to you. Because you don't do any stupid things. You know it, believe it or not. And you have to look at it that way. Whatever you do, whichever choice you make, that was essential in that moment. That made the choice for you to experience. If you didn't like that choice, pull back and make another choice. That's where people have a hard time dealing with, is once they make a choice, they have a hard time pulling back from those choices. And this is particularly plays with emotions and relationships. If you have the right relationship and it's not based upon emotional needs and insecurities, then when it's time for that relationship to end, it will end. My second marriage, we realized we weren't growing together, loved each other, but we just weren't growing. And I had the need to grow, and she did too. So then we went our own ways, but in a very equitable way. But, these are always sad things. But sometimes when you're locked in there in your emotions and you're clinging to the other one for emotional support, it'll rip your heart out. And you can't have that happen to you. That is where you get into problems, where you allow someone to control your emotional state and where you're devoid in that. So taking time alone is vital into moving into these areas where you can gain power and strength, because it's that darkness and that fear that man has of that state that is highly unwarranted, because the alone state is the God state. There is only one God. And in its infiniteness, it is alone. It is all that exists. It can't create a second God to be its wife or buddy God. That doesn't exist. Totality is the word we use. Look at the words that all the religions and spiritual teachings around the world use to describe the infinite. And that's one of the words, the infinite, consciousness, the divine. It just keeps on going and going and going. When you start isolating the divine and you calling it he or she or whatever, and it's easy to do because it's difficult. Religions are supposed to take you out of the fundamental form and introduce you to the formless, the infinite. They have a hard time doing that because religions are more man-channeled. So it's difficult for the finite, lost in that, to look and bring out the infinite. That's why Jesus' teachings, Buddha's teachings, all these teachings, and even getting into J. Krishnamurti and the Ekmasters, all these teachings are only understood by those that are ready for them. You're not always ready for a level of teachings. Sometimes you are just introduced to that level and then you pull back. There's something about it wasn't for you. It pulls you back. It just gave you enough so you can develop for the future to go back into that. I've seen people go into Eckankar, leave it, and come back because the sukkar of it. Now that was years ago when there was a true Ekmaster there, no offense. I catch myself saying, how could I have been so foolish to have ever allowed my babies to be vaccinated? And that is what you don't want to do. You cannot go back. You cannot change the past. But you can sure create the future. And you can sure be active in helping to shut down these pharmaceutical companies, or in some way, we got to start electing people that have some consciousness to them. But getting this awareness to the public, because there's so many babies with ADD and ADHD and seizures from these criminals that I'm amazed we don't have a major uprising of mothers. And there's so many mothers just don't know, honey, and you can't say a thing about it because this world is an unconscious world, and if you can get conscious in it, you're lucky. And it's your time, because by the time you become awake in a level, it's your time to go. It's just the way the game's played, man. You wouldn't stay here more conscious. It's not divine enough. It is very mundane, very aggressive, very warring. This is the real swing of the pendulum. So it can get pretty intense here in terms of energy and negativityness and all this other stuff. I look back and say the same thing. I look back and say, why couldn't I have stayed a fruitarian? Why couldn't I have done that? See, you can't do that because it's not in the cards, and it's just not meant to be, because I had to learn balance to teach balance. If I don't learn balance, and I'm here to establish a new level of healing on this planet. And we are here together to establish a new healing modality, one this planet has never seen. And it takes in bits and pieces they've been playing with, but we put it all together for them. And it's vital that we establish this modality, and it's all based upon the sciences. And when medical doctors say theirs are, I want to throw up. Let's have a talk about that. Let's really talk about your science and where that's coming from. Because I've had plenty of chemistry, and I've had not plenty, but I've had a lot of physics. And it's like, okay, I don't know. So we're establishing a high level of healing, which is essential on this planet. It's already the same thing. People say this with cancer. I wish I'd never had my lymph nodes removed. I wish I'd never done chemo. You can't regret it. To regret it is a negative pull-down energy. And you can't do that. You're going to say, you know what? I'm going to get that out of me. I'm going to clean this all out. I'm going to go the right direction this time. I'm not going to rely on the past. How could, because you didn't know better. That's how you were so foolish. You didn't know better, because this is an unconscious world. And it's levels of consciousness. You keep developing your ability to awake and awake and awake and awake. Some will spend lifetimes not even thinking about awakening because they're too involved in the journey. These are newer souls, coming in, newer individualizations and stuff. And that's cool. Now let them, but understand, a lot of you that we're conversing with are old, what we literally term older souls. You guys are you're awakening. You don't awaken as a new soul. Not here. You got a journey yet. So you got to remember, you've got new souls coming to this dimension constantly. Can't judge them. They're brand new to this plane. Why would you judge them? You're only here that's why I'm saying check the narcissism at the door, because you really are the divine with a helping hand to those that need the help and know they need the help in awakening. If you try to interface with those that are not ready, you see what happens. And that includes family members. You see what happens with that? The blowback, because they're not ready to grow. They're not ready to open up. And if you fight that because you feel they should, then you're going to get the blowback from that. And it's like, I don't waste my time. You don't want to know? Fine. Next. There's plenty of people starving for this information, hurting. They don't know there's help for them out there. They're looking everywhere. Those are the ones we're for. Those that don't want to, enjoy the ride. Could be a little painful at times, but, that's the ride. It's still the ride. You can't judge anything, particularly June. You can't judge yourself. I'm feeling that in there, and you can't do that because you especially as a mama with the babies, you didn't know any better. And how could you? You were put into this unconscious world. You're part of its creating, and it's expanding. So you're being a part of its expanding now, and that's how you're paying back. That's how you're balancing out the road you went. Now you're balancing out because now you're awake, and now you can help others. I didn't because I wasn't awake enough. But I'm helping others to become awake enough to that. There's a lot of fear here because there's no rule books. Everything's uncertain. It's just God experiencing itself. So we cling to books and academics and stuff. In reality, it's other people's thoughts and ideas too. How could I have let myself take Prozac for 10 years? Ooh. Well, honey, you cannot look back on that whatsoever. I'm just telling you, it's just, I have my little wish I'd have done, things like that. No, you know what? Don't beat ourselves up. We're good people. We're good souls. We're good beings. And you don't beat yourself up. We're helping people. We're doing good. So don't ever feel this way, guys, especially with your kids. You do the very best you can with the information you have. If you have anything, you've been lied to by other souls that have been here and know how to and develop their little narcissistic elitisms and stuff like that. And so we have serious troubles. serious troubles. And I wouldn't doubt we're not going to have another war going. I just have no doubt. And why did I ever feed my children meat and dairy or any other junk food? Well, why did my parents ever feed me milk? Why'd you put me into a farmer family, a workaholic? Why did you do that? See, I could argue my side too. I had no fun in my childhood. My childhood was, I worked all my life. And I got married at 18, right out of high school, and had to go working in a factory. I was a rock and roller. It's like, not enough money to buy food. Oh, I got a baby too. Factory, $1.50 an hour, RCA, moving around. I mean, it's just the sort of thing that's life here. But as we get older, we can make it better because we get more awake, things like that. Some of you young people, of course, you're going to be awake a lot sooner than so many people because you're here to be awake. So it's all cool stuff. I'm just so excited with all you guys out there. You're just some beautiful souls. I'm meeting each and every one of you here. Beautiful stuff. Why did I ever feel that one? Why did I get drunk so much in my life? Perhaps you needed to feel better. Perhaps you didn't like the situation you created and you needed to feel a little. That's why people smoke the weed. We got a medical doctor. I thought this was really cool. We had a medical doctor out here that we have now medical marijuana in the state of Florida. Problem is, the different counties are trying to push that away. So there's a lot of lawsuits flying and everything. But he's using marijuana to help the opioid problems. Smart thinking for a medical doctor. Very smart thinking. But that's life. You come down here, you get drunk, you smoke some pot, you do this, you do that. You work, you do this, and it's all in, what am I doing here? What is it? What's my journey about, anyway? I mean, it's just... And why did I tolerate mean people? Good question, and we do that. We tolerate. We allow others to step in our space and to tear us down. It's like, no, but... It's developing your strength, June. Think about that. It's developing your strength. Look how much stronger you feel now about this than you did 10 years ago. You're a woman now. You're getting more warrior. I can feel it in you. You're getting stronger in yourself. Why did I do that? Well, you can't beat yourself up because that's the road we all go down, the unconscious ride. But that builds up the conscious awareness. Now you're conscious of this. You take that strength, that knowingness that only comes from experience. Knowingness comes from experiences, and there's nothing like knowingness. Do you want to go to a practitioner that thinks they know health or one that knows they know health? Like going to a mechanic. I think I know where that sound's coming from. Oh, that's your alternator. Which mechanic would you rather go to? Mm-hmm. Well, that is one that has more experiences. At one time, an experienced mechanic was a young guy going, well, let me see what that sound is. But through years of working on engines and things, that sound, I hear that sound all the time. I know what that is. Same thing. And you just can't beat yourself up with that. But you can now articulate a much higher order of what you know to be true. And you can do it from your experience. Yes, I vaccinated my kids. How stupid was I? Now, knowing that you didn't really mean that to yourself, but when you're talking to others, you let them know it wasn't a smart decision, but you didn't have all the facts. Now, you're here with a lot of the facts, and you're here to share it with other mothers so they don't run the risk, because the risk today with these children are worse than ever before. You talk about ADD. Or seizures. I'm looking at the world of seizures, and it is my opinion that someday these pharmaceutical guys are going to have to run off the planet because the world is going to chase them for what they've done to humans. It's just sickening because now it's willful. They already know that their thimerosal done. They already know what the vaccines are. It's in the CDC centers even. And the CDC centers even lie. The Center for Disease Controls, they're liars. I mean, I'm telling you, people got to get their act together and get self-awake. because people are manipulating and using others like nobody's business. And we also have to get awakened law. You have to get awakened law, learn jurisdiction, learn the difference between the private and the public sectors, and learn all these sort of things if you want to protect yourself. Now, why didn't I homeschool my children? That's tough, honey. That's tough. I mean, you're talking about homeschooling your children. That's a big order, brother. That's not that I'll just teach them some classes. That's a big order if you do it right. That's what I liked about the Bush family, Alaska Bush family. Matter of fact, they're on tonight. And they're getting a new property, I guess, outside of Alaska. It looks like they're in Colorado or somewhere, but I hope that mama makes it, but I don't know. I did a special video for them, but I don't know if that'll help. I know we're all on a journey here. I understand that we go through experiences so that we grow spiritually, so that we hopefully wake up and see the truth in front of us. But when I see my past actions as harmful to not only myself but my children, those children were put there for you to do that to them. Oh no, you already knew you did this. Get back. And if you go back, you knew when you came in here this whole lifetime, you already saw it in advance. You'll see bits and pieces of deja vu in your life, but it's only because you've already viewed this lifetime. You know exactly the children you brought in here, the souls you brought in here, and that they needed that. Oh, no. No, everything is calculated like the wheels of a fine watch. And you can't feel one thing or another. That's the negative forces controlling you. No. Maybe one day you can speak to that. Well, I guess I am making that today. I know I and many others will find your words of wisdom helpful. I hope so, because I'm pretty... I'm probably the most compassionate one you've ever met. That's a problem with that. But there's also a high level of detachment, because if you don't, you'll lock yourself into this world, and it's only you that you hurt, because no one else cares. They're on their own journeys, can't even figure out their own journeys, let alone someone else's journey. So you're a good woman, June. So you get into that and accept the reality of and just don't even think about it anymore. Don't put that. Even those thoughts that you're having like this is how the mind is controlling you. I'm in the now. It is what it is. I am who I am because of the past. Next. Don't waste another second on those thoughts. All right? Six o'clock. Looks like all my batteries have died and all my clocks around here. Well, I can't be that late. I mean, gotta do a couple now. These videos probably won't get up for a little while because Jen B's on vacation. Unless I can get some, I don't know, I can get tomorrow or Friday. I'm busy, but I might do it. I could overnight this up to Chris, but Emily. No, is that Emily? Emily? Just spelled differently. I have done a lot of healing and changes since my last pregnancy, and I am excited to finally be mostly well. Good woman. However, my right eye still shows a lot of congestion in the head or ear from 10 to 12 o'clock. Right side? Well, right there is the ear, the mastoid, the cerebellum, all of that. So, yeah, you want that out of there. I would candle my ears, 3 or 4 candles per ear, work on the neural lymphatics, get on these bowels, because your GI tract, when it gets backed up, it can hold everything up here. This being highly congested can hold everything up there. So you got to open down below as well. Of course, obviously the kidney filtration is essential. Notice how the kidneys are central. I mean, just always little things when you look at that. I am worried that I still have much cleaning to do in my head. Don't worry about it. Just get her done. Because, let me tell you, nothing good comes of acidosis in the brain. Holy crap. I mean, nothing good comes of that. But there's nothing to worry about. It's just something to go forward. I recently did a grape festival, that's good, and had lots of mucus coming from my, see what I'm saying? She had lots of mucus from her sinuses into the back of my mouth. Oh, do you have a deviated septum or something? That's a lot of mucus, and just you got to get it out or you'll get a sore throat from it. And then you realize what starts sore throat is mucus. Oh, it wasn't bacteria? You mean it was just from the mucus from the milk and dairy? You have to laugh sometimes at this whole concept of diseases. You have to. Or it's just, what do you say?
Well, yes.
See? That's a good, though. I'll tell you something, honey. There are some people that can't break it loose yet. So the fact that you can, there's all levels of problems, but the fact that you can break your sinuses loose, thank you, Lord, because people are neti potting, people are chewing on horseradish root, cayenne peppers, all kinds of things to try to hydrate and loosen the sputum up, because remember, the more acidic, the more dehydrated, the more glomulated. Locks right in there. So you just have to loosen it up, and the only way to loosen it up is hydration. Hydration comes from the alkaline side of chemistry. Remember how I'm going to steal those electrolytes? Those electrons out of the orbits there? Remember the acids have more protons than electrons, vice versa on the alkalis bases. Do you think it would be very important for me to do the pituitary formula? Only if you're having symptoms. Now, it's difficult to understand the symptoms of a pituitary except for the females. The height is one way you can guess. Too tall, too short, obviously going to take you to the pituitary. Could take you to the thymus gland with growth hormones, but the pituitary for sure. Remember, the thymus gland produces growth hormones. This has not been out there, hard to find anywhere, but the thymus gland does produce some growth hormones. So you can have a immature thymus gland and that sort of thing, but also look at the pituitary. With a female, obviously it's going to affect your monthly cycles big time. But it can affect thyroid, parathyroid glands. So it's difficult, other than through a blood workup and an iridology report, to see if that indeed could be influential. The brain and nerve forming and upper circulation, yes. I wonder if I stay raw and do the essentials, if that would be enough. I think so. I really do. I think if you do the Fab 4, you do the kidneys, do 2 kidneys, an adrenal or an endocrine gland, do a GI tract. As a matter of fact, after you've been on stomach and bowel for a while, move to heal-all capsules for the bowels. If you still need to clean the bowels, use the GI broom occasionally. But the diet is super key. Super key. So the diet is what you want to go for, and sounds like you have adequate self-discipline. Go for another grape fast. I'm telling you, wiggle yourself down that road, honey. One day you're going to turn around and go, look what I did. And look at where I am. My God, I have so much energy I can't stand it. My body's clean. I don't stink. I don't bleed. I don't do anything. My God. Oh, my God. Oh my God. They want to take. Doctors want sugar and cancer-causing foods out of hospitals. That was probably written by one of you guys. Now, I suppose it all depends on how much I want or can spend. Yeah, those are two factors. Your financial picture, your desire picture. But really, if you've been a while working with the liver, gallbladder, and working with others, you don't need to do it again. You don't need to keep on the same whole bunch of herbs again. I have this reverse pyramid philosophy, reverse pyramid. At first, go after yourself. Go after that liver, gallbladder. Go after those bowels. Go after that lymph, those kidneys and the endos and everything else. But then as you don't need them anymore, flip them off. But always end up with the endocrine glands, adrenals, kidneys, one lymphatic formula at least, maybe something for the GI tract, like either stomach and bowel or heal-all capsules or something like that. Upper circuit brain and nerve, love them. They are incredible formulas, so always good. I suppose, and how far I want to go, right? Right. Totally. You have it right on. My first order is quite healthy, but my postpartum, So, it was very bad for a few months. Now that's why, dear, you've got to, I would do this. I would do the herbal pituitary. Pretty safe with that. And then do the parathyroid glandular. Definitely would. Now, you can hitchhike that when you're going through that. You could add the bones and connective tissue formula, or you could do a superfood blend where you have so much calcium it's out the roof. And that will help to have the material to build with. But in reality, you know, on a fruit diet, the body can rebuild itself from, I mean, look at what we do neurologically to some of these insane, like Lou Gehrig's and things like that, insane what we can do with them. It's just amazing, seed nerve regeneration. And it's just, have to understand how that all plays out, the level of diet that has to be. But when you have the postpartum depression, ladies, that's the first sign you have a parathyroid weakness. The problem with it, though, prolapsing bladder and uterus. Some women's uterus just drops right down on the bladder and the bladder right out the you know where. And then your breast can sag, skin can wrinkle, scar tissues. I mean, you can just go on and on and on at the side effects of acidosis and of the lack of calcium utilization under that sky. Because when you're consuming acid ash foods, you might as well get used to the fact that your body's going to hiccup on the calcium buffering system. You're going to lose calcium. You can lose calcium drinking pasteurized milk. When you are consuming an acid ash food, you're going to lose, your potential to lose calcium and other electrolytes are high. You generally don't lose other electrolytes till you're extremely acidic. That's why in the advanced cancer cases, you start to see your sodium and chlorides go down. Now you're getting in trouble. Big trouble. Stealing the electrolytes right out of you just to keep yourself halfway up. So we want to go after that one. Definitely go after that one. And you want to think about your babies or children, whatever age, and think about they have the same genetic weaknesses. You might want to, you know, look at their growth and everything else and go after their endocrine glands. When you're small children, the endocrine gland formula is a beautiful formula for you, and you'll grow into it. It's just a beautiful formula. It's all berries, so it's all gentle and beautiful, and it's all that kind of stuff. Also, which form of the formulas would you recommend? Glycerin, no. I only recommend glycerin if you just can't handle the alcohol. And the reason is glycerin has to be metabolized. It is less effective, and we have less of the plant in there. Ours is the strongest. I mean, go to the health food store and get you some glycerin formulas and taste the difference. Ours is the most. I didn't really want glycerin formulas because I've had tasted glycerin formulas for years. It's like, yeah, there's no herbs in this. But when ours came back, I said, I want to taste herbs in mine. Of course, I use 1 to 4 concentrates. When you use a 1 to 7 concentrate, you don't taste any herbs. But I use 1 to 4, which is as strong as you can get in your first distillation. So that's why you get that herbal taste, but you still don't have the 99% of the plant you do in alcohol. Plus, alcohol doesn't need to be metabolized. You're sending those goodies right into the blood and right off. So it's a faster take. And remember, talking when you're dealing in seizures and spasms and things, cramping, I wouldn't use the glycerin antispasmodic. You'll be waiting 10 minutes to get a relief. You got to be metabolized. Wow, look at all this coming up. I've been sucking down on the mangoes, though. That reminds me, I got to go to my mango trees and start picking. They're getting time to pick. I'm thinking, time to pick my mangoes. I'm going to have so many mangoes, I'm going to have to give them to you guys. How are you going to come here and get these mangoes? Not all of them come in these forms, I think. I have been making the tinctures for my husband and daughter. Good deal. In 90 Celsius water to vaporize the alcohol. No, I think that's pretty good. I wouldn't go over that. But yeah, evaporate the alcohol off a little bit. If you've got a good liver and everything is good, nothing ever bothers you. I've even had alcoholics use the alcohol formulas without a blowback. But I have had one guy in my life kind of go blow back a little bit because the alcohol in the tinctures got him a little bit. But I hope these are not too many questions. No, my dear. Attach pictures of my eyes in case someone can look at them. Now, this is what I like. I'm going to tell her when she gets back to accept this, because if you guys just send me these pictures, I can just go real quick and go, hey, take a look at this. So, what color eyes do we have here? We have blue eyes. Honey, you see all this brown? Brown in a blue eye is in what stage? Remember, you have acute, subacute, chronic, and degenerative, right? Chronic. Brown in a blue eye is chronic lymph stagnation. And look, it's right around the pupil, which is the GI tract. Look at the skin ring. See this ring around the outside here of the iris? That's a skin ring. You were born with genetically weak skin. But that takes us to the thyroid. Well, you have a parathyroid. We already know that. And pituitary. So right here, you got to fix this skin. You got to get it healthy. Get the thyroid up, the basals up at around 98. Get yourself sweating. Open this doorway. Dry skin brush, etc., etc. Now, real quick, let me look real quick here. Okay, you can clean the gallbladder and pancreas out. You got some chronic lymph stagnation in the gallbladder and some genetic weaknesses in the gallbladder. Clean the liver as well. And you got a subacute weakness in the pancreas, so you want to go after that. Your whole right leg is weak genetically, so you're going to feel that. Some of the hip is getting chronic on that side too, on the right side. On the left side, you have a very chronic kidney, my dear one, and adrenal gland. Also, what am I looking at? What are we looking at here? Okay, you're going to hear this one, chronic uterus. You got a chronic uterus, honey, and you want to clean that out. Vaginal wall, you douche with the Heal-All tea. That's why I created that tea for you ladies. And I would douche with that tea, ladies, one time a night for 2 weeks. You'd be surprised. It'll convert any atypical cells you have. And here's where your most problem are. Notice in these eyes, guys, where is she the most brown? Below the pupil or above the pupil? Is she more brown up here or down here? Well, it's obvious, up here, right? Well, what's above the pupil? The head area. This is all her legs and lower part of the body. This is the head area. Look at this. Thick. Look at the difference between her lower body and her upper body. She's not draining her sinuses, but head. But look at the chronic bowels that it sits on. So that's why you have to fix these chronic bowels to get this chronic head to break loose. All right? So, yep, you got left side cerebellum, left side ear. Got a pituitary chronic, and maybe a little pineal there. So you might, if you're getting insomnia, better use a pineal glandular. Don't use melatonin. Same thing on the right side. You have a chronic pituitary, a chronic pineal gland, my dear one. Get your thing. You have a lot of, and that looks like a drug deposit, though. That doesn't look like chronic lymph. Right here on the right side, up near the right shoulder, up into the ear, up into the mastoid area, you've got a lot of either heavy chronic lymph or heavy drug deposits settled into that area, and it looks like a drug deposit of some sort, just with these pics. Notice that the yellow in a blue eye is subacute. White in a blue eye is acute. Yellow in a blue eye is subacute, and brown is chronic stages of lymph stagnation. Danielle. Hi, Danielle. Reversing premature ovarian failure. Ooh, wow. Thank you for taking the time to read this. You betcha. I wish I had the time to read every one of them and get them all done for you quick. But remember this, though, all of you guys, is that there's two sides to life, obviously. Male, female, up, down, night, day, duality. So there's degradation and degeneration, but there's also regeneration. Man has been playing in the degenerative phases because medical doctors chose to create this illusionary concept of diseases and a whole system of toxic pharmaceuticals to treat them. Well, that's why the death rates are so astronomically high. When man in the future steps back, they're going to look back as a very dark agey, laughing or crying, one of the two, at the seriousness of what man did in these earlier years of thinking. So no matter what, and when they use the genetics, just sit there and laugh, because you know more than anyone, genetic memories and things all deals with the consciousness. And you have to look at that all the way through, including the food you're consuming has consciousness to them. There's nothing that's devoid of awareness. Nothing. So everything you interface with has awareness to it. It might be at a level it can't relate to you or communicate with you, but it often tries. Look at your plants. I don't know if you're aware, but your plants always try to communicate with you. Your animals are always trying to communicate with you. Plenty of awareness to go around. Hi, Doc. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I am 41 and I've had problems with my hormones and irregular periods for several years. So you know where I'm going to go when someone says irregular periods. I'm going to... Did you give me your eyes? No eyes. I know you guys don't go to do that yet, so... but I'm definitely going to go to the pituitary gland with that. You know, it could be an ovarian thing, but I got to first make sure your pituitary is in good shape. I'm not going to blame the ovaries. I'm just not going to blame your ovaries. You got two of them, and I'm not going to blame both of them for the problem. I'm going to go to the pituitary that controls them first, and I'm going to look at that. So again, you look at your eye. All right. You see that black line? Right here is 12 o'clock. This is the right eye. And this is just the right side. If you're looking at the eye, it's the right side of straight o'clock 12. That is a chronic pituitary. And notice how it comes right into the chronic bowel wall here. They all will come right into the bowel wall. That's how you know it's genetics. And right in this heavy dark area is the pineal gland. Now, I was talking to you about this. Look at this real dark. See, that's brown lymph stagnation. See how this looks like it's on top of that, like a real dark cloud settled in here? And like it's going to rain real bad? That's exactly what it looks like. It goes all the way up to the pupil here. To me, that's a chemical you've ingested, and it's lodged into the head. Ear, this is the back of the head. So, you know, you're in your ear, your mastoid, your cerebellum, and this could be a constant source of irritation for you. So, for you guys, look at your eyes and look at that upper portion and see if you have a pituitary weakness, Daniel. But you could just have heavy lymph and sinus stagnation suppress your pituitary. You wouldn't even have to have a genetic weakness in the pituitary. Yeah, I think your pituitary on here. I also have chronic pain, headaches, fatigue. Yeah, I don't think this is an ovarian syndrome. I think this is your pituitary head syndrome. And early menopause runs in my family. See, pituitary. I'm telling you, your mom and your sister get their pituitaries back online, and they'll start their monthly cycles again, whether they like it or not. I did high fruit raw foods for years in the past and was much healthier. Was even fruitarian for a couple of years. I like this woman already. Yep. That's a good woman right here. But now I am only half to 2/3 raw for years. You know what? The same thing happened to me. I was able to stay raw a lot longer than that. But, you know, life is the way it is, guys. I don't know what to tell you about it. You know, I've been chastised. I've been called every name for this or that because I couldn't do this or couldn't do that. And it's like, well, I don't judge you. It's just the way it is in this world. You have to hit with what comes to you. I mean, that's just the way it is. So there's no judgment. It's just we know what we have to do and where we have to go, and we work the best we can. For me, I think as we work with the habits of the children and we start instigating higher learning, higher awareness, and higher level habits, we'll work the humans out of it. But I have no illusion that people can't just do that. I'm a fruitarian. I don't live with that illusion. My period stopped almost a year ago with menopause range hormones. I know you've helped many women with fertility issues. Yeah, that's the thing. Yes, it's easy. I see all these. What's that one lady in California that had 15 kids or something? Remember when she was on the news a lot? 15, 16 kids in vitro. And it's like, excuse me? It's easy to get them healthy enough to have children. The point is to bear children and to keep hold for term and not abort, because you fix the pituitary a little bit, but you want to spend time fixing that, especially the young women that want babies. Because remember, that weakness, the babies are going to have, but weaker. So remember, and the pituitary is the head honcho. It's going to shut it, it's like we're talking about now. It's going to shut down the ovaries, but it can shut down the prostate. It can shut down the male side too. And it can shut down everything else too. It can make you bedwet till you're 20. I mean, it can do all kinds of things. Oh yeah. Pituitary can do all kinds of things. You got children that are bedwetting way too late. That's a pituitary gland. There's all kinds of things going on. And I was talking to Pat a lot about this because being an anatomy physiology professor, and of course she says every day or every week there's something new they find. I said, absolutely. And you're going to find that there's a lot more going on with the pituitary hypothalamus area than they even can conceive. They don't even understand the lymphatic system. Excuse me? 1.5 years ago, I got an eye reading from, oh wow, and ordered the recommended protocol, but I didn't follow through because I have serious reactions and side effects to any medicines or herbs. Well, that's the thing you have to let us know, because I can do this, you know? I can go right if I have to go right. I can go left if I have to go left. We can do a draw back and do a little. We can do this, we can do that, but we have to get you down the road. In other words, it's better to do a little than to do nothing. I didn't eat any spices or salt, and my body usually reacts strongly and has to detox from the teeniest non-whole food items. And that's a problem also with getting up into fruit levels. Your body gets so understanding the beauty, the sensitivity, the high level of that getting down into the grunt forms, it can be a kick. Yeah, I get you. I even don't get painkillers for very painful dental procedures because I am so extremely sensitive. I'm also afraid of a temporary boost followed by crash when I stop. Work on your autonomic nervous system. Work on your liver, gallbladder. Work on these areas, dear one. I don't have your eyes to look at here. I could pull your chart. Also, I'm afraid of a temporary boost followed by a crash when I stop. Well, you know what? The more you dig into this, the less that happens. The further you go, the less the blowback happens. And you just keep going, keep working your best you can. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself a pat on the back. You're bucking some very strong, you're bucking the mind. The conditioned mind is an extremely strong instrument. And you're fighting your own mind, and that is the most powerful thing in your world up till now. Now you need to be the most powerful thing in your world, and I'm talking about you as awareness, or as the attention that you are. And my system gets confused by adding many things at once. I get that one. So don't do that. Say simplistic. However, with the botanicals, you want to at least use the Fab 4 or 5. You've got to go in some direction with that. But then get back to the fruit again. Fruit, berries, and melons again, Simplicity is always the key, and when your body gets used to simplicity, it hates complexity. I get that. Even with the rainbow salads, I used to recommend rainbow salads. Everything in there you could get. It's just different states of consciousness, and it's like if you can become very sensitive to energy, then you can feel that. I didn't feel it in the earlier years, but I can feel it now. You recommended lower dosages, but I was still too afraid to do the herbs and glandulars. I get it. Also, I deeply wish that my body, and here's the thing, I don't want you to forget this, Danielle, and all of you guys, muscle test. Your body will not steer you wrong. If you muscle test and you test weak, don't do the herb. If you test strong, don't be afraid of it. Okay, your body wants it. Test your energies. Test your body's energetic response muscularly. That all?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Also, I deeply wish that my body can heal itself without them. And I'm moving towards an all-fruit detox. It can. It can, dear. It can. But you should never be afraid of herbs. If anything, drink the Heal All tea. Go to the teas and drink the Heal All tea. Sip on it throughout the day, the 3-lung tea. Use the teas then. They're cheaper, they're potent, and you can get by with that. Or use the raw herbs, mix it in with something, and suck it down right there. Which also, towards an all-fruit detox again, which I also didn't implement back then because of a tough emotional time, which has now improved. See, maybe it wasn't right for you. Just maybe it was right for us to get that set for you, and then it's getting right now. But don't procrastinate too long, or you'll kick yourself in the butt. but I'm not sure if I'm too far gone for the fruit detox to be enough. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Many oh, thanks, Daniel. I'm a lover of the herbs, so I don't know. I love herbs. The strongest herbs being, of course, the lymphatic herbs. Most of these other herbs for everything from the liver, the barbarous family, the Oregon grape roots, the burdock roots, the Oregon grape roots, like I said, the yellow docks. They're so good for so many things, it's not even funny. All the kidney herbs are so great for everything. None of these are too strong either, I don't think. Your lymphatic herbs, those are going to be the butt kickers. Yep, these are the strong ones. Like one of us on the YouTube there did some poke root, a lot of poke root, powdered poke root, and almost went to the hospital with it. These are toxic herbs. It's high dosages, blood and poke root. You know, these are nothing to play around with. You know, I've had 45 years of using herbs on babies to 110-year-old people. So I know what they can do and what they can't do. But I know enough to say that don't ever be afraid of them, dear. If you don't like the alcohol or anything like that, pull back and do the teas. Or the capsules. But I don't even like the capsules because of the capsules. But then, you know, there's always something. Better just to pick and eat raw. But you want to get your kidneys filtering. That's number one. So whatever you do, you want to pee in a jar and make sure you're filtering. If you're not filtering, there should be no question. Because if you don't filter, the blowback is on you, my dear. So I would at least get myself filtering, get that road going, work yourself up to the fruit. If you have to use the herbs and everything to get yourself filtering and then peter off from that, titrate off from that, okay. Ooh, mold toxicity in homes. Burn them down. Well, everybody likes blue-green algae, so what's everybody bitching about? Suck it in. Get that mold going. The black is probably even more... Well, people like blue-green algae. What do you think that is? Pond scum. You want to make money, just go down the pond and rake the scum off, algae off, and sell it. This is from Klamath Lake. The most pure, yeah. Right. I mean, we're sold a lot of bill of goods. But most meat eaters anyway, I mean, if you look at it, it's a single-celled organism, so it's a form of meat eating in a way, right? I'm just saying. Oh, here it goes. I've been following you for 6 years now. Oh, wow. Love you, bro. Thank you. This is Ellie. Hi, sweetheart. Thank you so much, honey. You are a wonderful soul and one of my favorite. Oh, thanks. I like that. She's one of my favorite earthlings in the entire world. That's good. Earthling, though. We're earthlings. I know. Like, pretty soon we won't be. Now, there's so many beautiful places in the world, so God, there's so many beautiful things. It's just unreal. This is just a very difficult level, but it's important to mature us and to get us strong within the self so we are disciplined, so you can experience higher levels without interfacing and breaking them down. You know, you have to have some responsibility when you interface on higher levels. And so it's how it works its lower levels off and develops its higher levels. Now the gate's open and you're able to move into the higher levels of experience. So you're not like a bull in a china shop. See where I'm going with that? It has to do it to itself like that. Look at the disruption of some of these souls down here. Look at this taxi cab driver down in Venezuela. I feel sorry for those people so bad. Look at these troops down there going, you have nothing in here. Nothing. They could throw that dictator right out into the water and get him butt out of there. But no, all the military guys are going to put up with the crap because they've got food and some money. Yeah, that's okay. Is on her way back and we want to talk to you. Absolutely. When will she be?
5 minutes, maybe?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to talk. What time is it anyway? I ran out of battery.
3:24. Oh, okay. Are you filming?
Do we have battery? I am filming.
Is this filming right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dang. Sorry.
But I just don't have any battery. Do we have any?
Yeah, here, give it to me.
Any of those?
Heck yeah.
Good deal. Look at that. Gotta get our clock fixed. That's good.
So when we just come.
Yeah, we'll shut it off. I'm gonna just read a couple more, and I'm done anyway.
Okay.
Time to go home. Okay, unfortunately I've been dealing with the same issues, some issues that I am unable to rid of. Most predominant symptoms are derealization, anxiety, tension, shortness of breath, sinus congestion, white tongue, chronic fatigue, and the list goes on. All right, so when you get into the thyroid here, and the parathyroid, this, you know how it's depression? It's how you see yourself. Each of these endocrine glands, of course, also are interfacing with active energetic chakras. And these are all energetically related to your different bodies. Remember, we are a multifaceted being. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. We're not physical beings having spiritual experiences or physical experiences. No. We came here. This didn't come to us. And one way of looking at it, however, you haven't even left the pearly gates. You only think you have. Some of you will get that one. But derealization. When your parathyroid goes down, you go down. You just don't care for yourself anymore. There's no reason to live. There's just nothing there. But here's another problem. Ellie brings up a really good thing here. It's really worth talking about spiritually. Because as you move more into the now, you can go through some of this. Because at first, there's nothing. At first, you think you're moving into nothingness. Because you're used to thought, navigating via thought. Now you're navigating from a different position. You're like the captain of the ship, at the helm of the ship now. Where before you were the worker bees, the mind and the emotions of the worker bees. And you were involved in the processes. You didn't realize you were also the captain of your ship, overviewing all that you're doing. So just watch yourself doing your daily things, following your habits. Watch your habits. Watch how your body and mind go about their daily lives. Watch how that happens. And you will see that life is nothing but a habitual. Ooh, good. That sounds good. Now I have a clock.
Yes. The correct time.
Good. Thank you, honey. Doc.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So that's when these glands go down, you go down. Not you, your other bodies go down. You have to get yourself away from your endocrine glands, away from your body. If you learn to pull back more and more and more, where your body is something you're using, your emotions are something that you use, and that you don't rely on them for your happiness. Because you're entering into worlds that appear to be nothingness, but the joy and ecstasy and the intensity starts growing and growing and growing to the nirvana just sets right in. It's just amazing. But it's a lot different than thought and action. A lot different. It's pure consciousness. It is your attention. And if you look at it, there's nothing involved in attention but awareness. Pure awareness is watching. The mind is categorizing and kind of putting on shelves for you to help you learn what you're doing that way in creation. Your emotions is giving you the up to the down. But you're still just the attention looking out through the window of creation. That's all it is. And the more that you learn to pull back and let your mind do its thing, the emotions do its thing, you free yourself. You free your world of the ball and chains of emotions and thought. And now you can see, and now you feel the aloneness of all life. Now you feel the oneness within all things. That behind each eye, that awareness that's looking out through those eyes, that's where we're all connected. We all have individual bodies. Of course we do. It's the fun of it. Okay, so You're talking a lot of endocrine glands here. The adrenals are way down, sweetheart. Anxiety, shortness of breath, that's all adrenals. Indirectly, the sinus congestion is from the foods, but indirectly from the adrenals because not allowing the kidneys to filter. You just have to clean your sinuses out. This is all a process of alkalization, which is hydration. White tongue, that just shows how much lymph stagnation you have. How white is your tongue if you don't eat? When you wake up in the morning, how white is that tongue? You have to use a tongue suppressor? I knew someone like that, but instead of white, it was brown, green. That's, chronic toxicity. We think so?
Yes.
No?
No. Yes, baby.
See? It took the woman to stop it. Now, chronic fatigue comes from a couple things. Number one, adrenal glands, neurotransmitters. Number two, low thyroid, right? Rate of metabolism. Number three, fungus, too much fungus in the body. Remember, they deal with the carbon, which is your energy chains. A fruit-based diet has done great for me in regards to my energy levels, but the bloating and pain fog still remain. Upper circ, brain, and nerve, detox the sinuses. Get after your bowels, my dear one. Maybe on Parasite M for a while, just to kind of kill any of the, the funguses here. And might check the pancreas, liver, gallbladder. Maybe go in the liver, gallbladder for me for a month or two, and then maybe just do the pancreas, or alternate between the two. One bottle of liver, gallbladder, one bottle of pancreas, one bottle of liver, gallbladder, one bottle of pancreas. Then for a couple months, you'll get in those tissues and excite them and turn them on. I'm wondering if microtoxins from mold, you could just have heavy, and it could be mold external in your home. Absolutely could be. That's all over the place nowadays. Everything, including people, are fermenting. Look at all the molds on people. People are fermenting all over them. But people are so acidic and decaying that microbes are growing all over them. But absolutely could. In a chronically flooded basement, yeah, absolutely. The source of my issues could absolutely be. Could be breathing that in. But that's why I would say on Parasite M, you might want to do 2 dropperfuls 3 times a day or 4 times a day for about a month. See if that can't get them down. But I'd also clean my house. The mold removers. What is your viewpoint on microtoxins and long-term effect on the human body? Get it out. Get rid of it. Do a fungal kill. But also, that's also very relative to how bad your lymph system is. And if what you're saying here, the tongue is always coated and everything else, man, then I have to tell you that probably have heavy lymph stagnation in the body. Your tongue is a representative of the GI tract, and if it's heavily coated, I suggest you probably have malabsorption going on there as well. Shortness of breath is going to take you right back to the adrenal glands and low neurotransmitters. So there's no question what I see here is low neurotransmitters, low adrenal function. It's affecting your breathing, affecting the head area. I think you might because you want to address the nervous system and everything, but again, it would be not a stretch to realize a lot of us have full of fungus. The bloating could be, you could have sulfur in your gut. You could have a lot of sulfur from your mother or the use of antibiotics when you were a young child, and now you have a lot of sulfur in the gut and you have gassy bloating, or you're not breaking down your carbohydrates properly to give you gas, which would be fermentation, or you're not breaking down your proteins, which would be stomach problems initially, and that would give you the putrefaction. Okay. So that's what I think. Detox. Because when you think about that, detox is an easy word to say out there, and some people, but it is that golden key that unlocks all these problems. Gets rid of the mold, gets rid of the acids, and sets everything up. Because to detoxify properly, you have to eat living foods. Because detoxification is an energetic experience as well, not just a chemical experience. Which side of chemistry would detoxification be on? Clue, anionic. Alkaline side of chemistry, of course. The acid is corrosive and locks things in. So I think what I'm going to do is I've got to close this off. I want to have another meeting. But I'm just going to keep adding. Is it okay I just keep adding to this? We'll close this, but I'll add a new one right behind it because Jen B's off all week in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I love it up there. But when she gets back, or I can send these overnight to Chris in New York. But I'd like to do 3 or 4 of them, so we'll see. Love you guys. Thanks a lot for hanging in there on me and all of us. But I really love all of you guys. You guys are incredible beings. It's a privilege to work with you guys here on the planet and to turn this planet around. I mean, you think of talking about June and thinking about the children and stuff. Think of it differently. Think about these souls are coming in here to this planet. These are not young. You know, you might have a young body there you're looking at, maybe a 2-year, 3-year-old, but that's not a 2 or 3-year-old soul. Let me tell you, you could have a very aged, very wise soul inhabiting a little 2-year-old body, so you can never judge that. You want to get in contact with it. Learn how to be more etheric. Look at your dreams more. Look at colors more. You know, start looking at things more etherically instead of so gruntly and in the physical world. This world is here today and gone tomorrow for you. So don't take it too seriously, and don't let it get you down. Don't let anything get you down. Get your powers back. Be free to enjoy that power too. But love you guys. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much.